Well, good morning, everyone. We're finally in here. Before we get started, I know yesterday at the Border Chapel service, the Rev said a prayer because we are, in our hearts, we're remembering the people who've been affected by Hurricane Dorian. So not only, and we have a number of students from the Bahamas here, but also from the east coast of the US and the east coast of Canada. So I know that you'll keep them in your minds and in your hearts, and hopefully say a prayer for them sometime today. So this has been a long time coming. This auditorium, the A.W.B. Alumni Center, as you'll notice, there's still a fair bit of work to do, lots of little things. This floor has to be finished. We're gonna hang some curtains, put new lighting. The college shop needs some work, and the bridge. But we're actually ready to move in. Classes are starting today. The double gym's about to be open. This is a spectacular new facility. And I know that more than 15 years of A.W.B. students have been dreaming for this day. But you guys are the guys who get to experience it. As Ernest Dimnett said, architecture of all the arts is the one which acts the most slowly, but the most surely on the soul. And I'm sure that 100 years from now, your successors will experience the vibrancy and the importance of this facility. It will go on for generations and generations. We're going to have an official opening for this building later on in the fall. But I know that today, it's important to say a quick thank you, because those people who've had a hand in making this possible, from the board to the people involved with the steering committee, many faculty and staff here, to our donors, the architect and builders, and especially to a number of key internal groups, including the facilities team, IT, advancement, marketing, communications, and Sodexo. Frankly, in the last few weeks, they've been here on weekends, at nights, on holidays, in terms of getting this place ready for you guys to move in. So I know you all want to join me and say thank you to all those people who've made this possible. Now, before I get into my opening remarks, I think it's important to commemorate this special day. So what we're going to do is a quick ribbon cutting. And I'm going to ask all the prefects to stand, and we have a few people to join them. So joining us will be our head of school, Mrs. Sampson, as well as Ms. Kennedy, our chief financial officer, who in fact is the person who's been project managing this spectacular facility. And we have our longest serving employee, the head prefect from 7778, Mr. Sukonik, as well as our youngest student. And so this is her very first day at A.W.B. College. Natalia is in middle one, so Natalia, come and join us as well. So we'd like everyone to go up to the ribbon, please. Grab a piece. Uncut. So I'm going to count down. It's going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cut. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Natalia. Good job. You can leave the ribbons. Don't worry about that. So, listen, that is an important part of this morning, but the most important part of this morning is to say a warm welcome to some very special people. And I think everyone in this room probably remembers your first day at A.W.B. College. So we have an incredible entering class this year, spectacular, outstanding young men and women. And what I'd like to do is introduce them, but I want you to hold your applause until we're all standing. So the first thing I'd like to do is for all the new members of senior school, so the people who are joining us in grade 11 and grade 12, would you please stand? Yeah, stand. Don't be nervous. Stand. Great. Now stay standing. No, Kaya, you're not new. Now stay standing. Everyone joining us in grade 10, would you please stand? Stay standing, everyone. Everyone joining us in grade 9, would you please stand? And stay standing, everyone in grade 8, please stand. And finally, last but certainly not least, everyone joining us in middle 1 in grade 7, please stand. So now I'd like all of us to welcome them warmly and fondly as incredibly new members of A.W.B College. We're so happy to have you here as part of A.W.B College. Thank you. You can sit. Well, here we are at the start of a new school year. For us as a community, this is when things are reset, when there are fresh beginnings. But as the day goes on, and as we proceed to the John Bell Chapel for the tie ceremonies, we're reminded of where we as a community have come from. You see, our 108 years of history and the centuries yet to come, the future, meet here this morning in the A.W.B Alumni Center on September 9th in this isthmus. History should be a springboard, not an anchor. From it, we should draw inspiration rather than limitation. Kind of like watching Bianca beat Serena for the US Open, an amazing achievement that made me very proud, I think all of us as a nation. So as you enter the chapel this morning, I'd like you to take note of a small brass plaque on the left side of the doorway as you enter the chapel proper, as well as a plaque up on the south wall just to the west of the organ. They both pay tribute to Aubrey de Vere Arnold Turquan, Turk to everyone at A.W.B during his time. And Dr. Carter has told us about his story. He was one of the original 29 A.W.B students. He was a multi-year prefect. He was the head prefect, a football star, a great cross-country runner, and the captain of the Cadet Corps, who a short while after his 18th birthday enlisted in the Canadian Army, full of a sense of duty and service and commitment to do his best as a citizen of his nation. Now, most young men went into training from Aubrey's background that would lead to a commission and serving as an officer, which was a little bit more enjoyable an experience, not enjoyable, a little bit more comfortable an experience. But Turk wanted to get into action as soon as possible, so he enlisted as a private. During training, his many readily apparent skills led to a number of promotions, and in fact, he was lined up to be a sergeant. But he realized that in fact, would delay his departure to the front line, so he turned down the promotions and headed east again as a private. He saw active duty at the terrible, bloody battles at Ypres, receiving a battlefield promotion and serving in one of the most dangerous roles in the war, leading a grenade platoon where he and the members of his unit had to go through deadly no man's land, get close enough to enemy trenches to be able to throw grenades. He was twice wounded, and twice he came back to the front line. The first A.W.B death in the First World War took place when a shell landed at his feet. When you read the larger plaque in the chapel, it says, "In loving remembrance of the athlete, of the friend unequaled in loyalty and affection." Now, I don't tell you about Turquan to be morose, but rather quite the opposite, to provide a window on why we are all here, why A.W.B was created. You see, Sir Edmund Walker and John Guest, when they founded A.W.B, had this bold view. They weren't creating just another school. Their intention was to shape this community and this nation by developing leaders who are infused with a sense of service and citizenship who would guide Canada through challenging times. Turquan and his generation exhibited this spirit in a most striking manner, and that spirit has been repeated in the generations that followed. Now, as we sit in this transition point between history and the future, in this beautiful new building, it's clear that the challenges of society are very different than a century ago. We have a far more global outlook on interconnectivity. We are being challenged by major trade wars, geopolitical volatility, major regional conflicts, the emerging impact of artificial intelligence, and perhaps most dangerously, shockingly rapid climate change that can devastate this home that we call the Earth. These pressures also bring opportunity. Those who are prepared and motivated can affect immense good in this world by combining creative thinking with wisdom and that same sense of service and duty that Turquan possessed. As Thomas Friedman, the famous author who wrote The World is Flat, has said recently, the biggest future divide between those people who will be successful and those who will not will be the skill of self-motivation and the inclination to do things. Now, some of you no doubt are saying to yourselves something along the lines, all this talk about changing the world, I just want to make it through grade 7 or grade 9 or grade 11. Well, fair point. So let me bring it down to this year. What steps can you take in the months ahead? First, to the class of 2020, our Senior 2 class. It all changes in grade 12. You guys are driving the bus now. This is the opportunity to show greatness of your class, to determine through your actions how you will be remembered for decades to come. Will you lead? Will you show kindness? Will you embrace the others in this auditorium, not so much those with whom you already have a close bond, but those where you have no connection, those who may be younger, those people who are different? That is your real test and the mark of a great leading class. And for everyone, if I could create a couple of new prizes to give out at closing ceremonies on June 19th, not too far away, or a special title award this year, I would give them to students who show two things this year: courage and compassion. The best way to get the most out of this year, the best way to make this fresh start, is to practice courage and compassion. By courage, I mean the guts to try something different. There are easy paths in life where you can only take on the things that you will know or you will be successful at, where you do everything to ensure that you'll never be embarrassed and you'll never fail. What I have seen over and over again in 35 years of education is that those people who get the most out of their school years, those who show the greatest leadership, are almost always the ones who have the courage to try something different, to put themselves out there, to risk sometimes not being the winner, and to be okay with that. When you have the courage to release yourself from that shackle, you will find that the rewards, even in failure, are immense. And most importantly, compassion. I can still tell you today, 40 years later, a long list of the people who, when I was in high school, and some of these were classmates, some of them were older students, some of them were adults, those who showed me kindness, who included me in activities, organized or social or casual, who believed in me when sometimes I didn't. Their kindnesses are forever seared in my memory. The very best legacy you can create is by practicing kindness and including others, especially those who need it the most. You can start ripples that will last a lifetime. So as we start this year, be inspired into actions by those who have gone before. Be thankful for all that we have been given, especially this incredible new facility. Have the courage to stretch yourselves. Try new things even if you're not sure that they will work out. And most importantly, our community is based on caring and compassion and kindness. Make that part of your own personal commitment, and you will most certainly gain as much as those with whom you share your kindness. And you will have a great year. So let's have an outstanding 2019-2020. And now it's my pleasure to welcome our fabulous head of school, Mrs. Sampson.
One person who, because he's always thanking everybody else but doesn't get any thanks, I think we need to give a big round of applause to Mr. Van Nostrand, because one of the reasons we're in here is a lot of his hard work and pushing through this vision. So every year we get to welcome some new faculty, and teachers have been all in the last week and some even longer, getting ready for today and to welcome you guys to a new school year. So I'd like to take this opportunity. We're all gonna have to kind of crank your heads and turn around, because for the only time, they're all sitting up in the back right now, I think. But I'd like to introduce a few new people, and when I introduce those faculty members, you can just stand and give a quick wave. And I am sorry, I didn't tell you I was gonna make you do this on the first day. So Miss Thorman, our Dawn in Walker House. Miss Constantinova, Don and Bailey House. Mr. Bright, our Don and Colin House. And welcoming back, although he was here for a brief time last year, Mr. Poitras in social science. We're also welcoming Dr. Patterson, who's joining us in guidance. And finally, right down the middle here, we're welcoming Mr. Day, who is joining us in social science as well. So every year, part of the group is responsible for setting the tone of the school and providing leadership and enthusiasm is our prefects. And so this year I have the honor of introducing the prefects for you, and then our head prefect will come up and speak. So our community prefect this year is Janet Carrier.
You guys should stand. Yeah.
Our service prefect, Musta Zanani. Our international prefect, Saucon Hager. Our chapel prefect, Angela Vasquez. Our athletics prefect, Jolene Watkins. Our arts prefect, Olive Marlowe. Our academics prefect, Tommy Lee. Our Cold Service prefect, June Suk Kim. Holly House prefect, Luke Dyer. Walker House prefect, Oiku Uzun. Our Bailey House prefect, Natasha Stanford. Middle school prefect, Rachel Schuster. Our upper school prefect, Blake Louder. Senior school prefect, Jack Berry. And our head prefect for this year, Maya Gobia.
Well, as Mr. Van Oxen said, this is really a day of new beginnings. For some of us, it's our first day of school, first day of high school, first day in a new role, or first day away from home. I mean, hey, look at this place. It's our first day in the A.W.B. Alumni Center. Let's do a round of applause for that. To tell you guys the truth, I couldn't be more excited to start the year. And so without further ado, let me introduce you to the 2019-2020 Prefect Video.
Oh my gosh, what is that?
3 days later. So why not? That's our challenge to you guys this year. Why not you? Why not her? Why not him? Why not today? Why not now? Why not be the best you can be and live your best life? Thank you for coming to the first assembly of the year. Thank you guys for all being here.